I think it's safe to say Elizabeth Warren cannot be trusted. I'm hoping that many of those who are progressive voters who are backing her, I'm hoping that they're opening up their eyes and realizing that she is showing to be very calculating and very opportunistic. So let's go over all the various different ways. Now, we saw what happened on Tuesday night. She backstabbed her friend, Bernie Sanders, and she backstabbed him in a very odd way, in a way we can't verify. Now, during the debates, many of the candidates have gone after other candidates. We saw Kamala Harris take down Joe Biden. We then saw Tulsi Gabbard take down Kamala Harris. But the things that they pointed out in those candidates were things that you and I could go back, double check, and verify. We can't verify a closed-door private meeting between two people. There wasn't even a witness. The only people that came forward and leaked the information to CNN from Elizabeth Warren's camp, which CNN has verified, they have verified that Elizabeth Warren's team actually leaked this information to them. So if that's not snake-like, I don't know what is. But the only people on her team that knew about this was because Elizabeth Warren apparently told them, then they told CNN, and CNN then, of course, brought it up during the debate because they're looking for ratings and they're looking for some kind of a snarky takedown. And, you know, that's the way it's got to be in order for them to continue to sensationalize this political process. So she leaks this to CNN, and then she goes on stage and says, oh, you know, I don't want to fight with Bernie. I don't want to fight, even though she's the one who leaked it. And it's a closed-door meeting that we can't even verify. Now, I don't know how many people actually believe Bernie Sanders said this. It doesn't seem to fit the character that Bernie Sanders has had over the last 32 years of being on record saying a woman could win the presidency. It also doesn't fit just knowing that in 2016, Bernie Sanders encouraged Elizabeth Warren herself to run for president. And when she declined, Bernie Sanders jumped into the race knowing that the American people were ready for serious change, that the American people were having a very strong, serious anti-establishment sentiment, and which is why Donald Trump ended up winning, and that the time was for an anti-establishment candidate to come forward. He thought Elizabeth Warren would maybe be that person. She declined, so he jumped into the race. So it doesn't even make sense that he would say that to her when she says, I'm thinking I'm going to run for president. Why all of a sudden would he then say in 2018, you know, I don't think a woman can win? When just 2 years earlier, he was saying, Elizabeth, I think you should run. That doesn't even make sense. So it's not viable, and it's not verifiable, more importantly. Now, not only did she one question we have to ask ourselves is, why would she do this? Why would she backstab her friend? And I think it's because it's become very clear that she's very opportunistic and calculating. She, I think, realizes at this point that it's not likely she's going to get the nomination. Now, a couple of months ago, that was a bit of a different story. But as of today, she has slipped so much in the polls. I think the writing is on the wall. She's not gaining supporters, and she's not likely to win the nomination. So what is she angling for? Well, I think this might be a lot like 2016. She's angling for the VP role. Now, in 2016, she sat down numerous times with Hillary Clinton, making a list of demands. If Hillary Clinton was going to gain Elizabeth Warren's support, Hillary Clinton needed to do X, Y, Z. Part of those demands were things like ensuring that the people Hillary Clinton surrounds herself with when it comes to the financial sector are not people that are big with Goldman Sachs and Wall Street. She wanted more anti-establishment people who really believed that the economic crisis of 2008 was handled incorrectly. Elizabeth Warren wanted those people surrounding Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton would have to make that concession in order to gain Elizabeth Warren's support. Even though Bernie Sanders, her friend, who encouraged her to run, who she at that point had aligned with more politically than Hillary Clinton, even though he was running, he was very, very popular in 2016. Elizabeth Warren had the choice to back Bernie Sanders, who she would not have needed to convince to not surround himself with Wall Street cronies. He wasn't going to do that no matter what. She could have easily gone and backed Bernie Sanders, but instead she makes this calculation with Hillary Clinton and backs Hillary Clinton instead. She believed Hillary Clinton was going to get the nomination, and many believe that there was a conversation about Hillary Clinton making Elizabeth Warren her VP pick. Now, that didn't turn out. Hillary Clinton ended up going with Tim Kaine. When she went with Tim Kaine, that was big news. A lot of reports came out saying why Hillary Clinton chose Tim Kaine over Elizabeth Warren. So there was definitely a conversation, definitely thinking that Elizabeth Warren maybe would have ended up being Hillary Clinton's VP pick. That is why many people believe Elizabeth Warren came out for Hillary Clinton rather than for Bernie Sanders in 2016. Very calculating. We've seen her also be calculating on this campaign trail in this election. She originally came out saying she was not going to take big money. Then she clarified and said, no, actually, I won't take big money when it comes to the primaries. But when it comes to the general, I'm going to take big money. That made a lot of progressives scream. She started to lose some support. So she realized she had to change her tune on that one. She came back out and said, okay, I'm not going to take big money no matter what. Never going to do it, not even for the general election. And then last month, interestingly, her campaign says to NBC News that she won't personally take big money. Her campaign will stay away from super PACs and large money fundraisers, but she will fundraise and show up for party fundraisers. So the party, the Democratic Party, can get the super PAC money. The Democratic Party can get the big money donors, but she personally won't. But she will fundraise on behalf of the party. Well, what do you think the party does with all that big money? The party turns around and gives it to the nominee. So her saying she'll do it for the party but not for her campaign is just a way to placate the masses. It's just a way for her to claim she's not taking any big money when in reality she absolutely is. So she has waffled on the big money. That right then and there shows that she is not truly in this for the people the way Bernie Sanders is, that she instead is an opportunist who's very calculating. She's made the calculation that in order to defeat Donald Trump, if she's the nominee, she would need that big money. That is not true. You don't need that big money in order to win. But she in her mind thinks that's what you're going to need. So she's going to go ahead and say, screw you, America. I'm going to do what I think I need to do in order to win. And we're seeing her do this again to Bernie Sanders. We've seen her waffle on Medicare for All. She first started off saying that she was for it, and then she's now waffled on it. She's kind of released a new plan saying that it was going to be more of an incrementalism into Medicare for All in order to differentiate herself from Bernie Sanders. That, of course, backfired on her. But I think she's proven to be an extremely calculating person who is looking to do what is best for her own political career. Whether she backs Hillary Clinton to be the VP, she says she ultimately will end up in a roundabout way taking big money, and now backstabbing Bernie on the stage. Now, this has some serious consequences. When it comes time to the Democratic convention, we need the progressives to band together and say, whoever is in the lead, the other progressive will turn to their delegates and say, give your vote to the leading progressive. That is the way to ensure that the progressive candidate, the progressive nominee, walks away with over 51% of the vote at the convention. If, right now it's likely to be Bernie Sanders, if Bernie Sanders does not get 51%, so let's say Warren is still in and she splits that vote, Sanders gets 40%, Biden gets 40%, and Elizabeth Warren, let's say, gets 20%, that means that it's going to go to a second vote. That means trouble, because at the second vote, the big political bigwigs, the ones that are sitting in the smoke-filled rooms sipping their cognac, and or maybe in this case with Democrats, are sipping lattes, and they're wearing their funny socks, and they could sit there and say, okay, well, we don't really want Bernie Sanders to be the guy because he's a problem. We really need this to be Joe Biden, and they get to use their superdelegate votes, and they get to cast it on behalf of Joe Biden against the will of the American people. Their vote matters more when it comes to that second vote in the second ballot in the Democratic convention. So it's really important we don't go to that. But with Elizabeth Warren turning her back on Bernie Sanders, I think she's paving the way to say when it comes down to it during the convention, she will not be joining up with Bernie Sanders. She will not be teaming up with him to ensure the establishment loses. Instead, she'll just stay in the race. She'll take part of the progressive vote. It will go to a second ballot. The superdelegates will go for the establishment candidate. And here we are once again repeating 2016. That is the big danger of what she has done. So it's really important. If you consider yourself a progressive and you're still supporting Elizabeth Warren, the plea to you is to at least write to her, to pressure her, to tell her that the writing's on the wall. She's not likely to be the nominee when it comes down to it. And if that does happen, if she does not gain in the polls, if she does not pick up steam, then she needs to be giving her delegates over to Bernie Sanders, that she needs to stop this petty feud and this ridiculousness. And she better not be joining up with the establishment, or she'll have just completely turned against everybody who was supporting her. So That's what's got to happen. Thank you so much for watching the show. If you have any comments or questions, I do read all of the emails that come in through my email inbox. You can reach me, Kim@KimIverson.com. Thanks for watching.